Imagine a heart surgeon standing in a sterile operating room. His hands are steady. His mind is a library of anatomical precision, and he is making life or death decisions with absolute confidence. He is a master of his craft. But 6 hours later, that same man sits in his home office, watches a line on a screen turn red, and loses $200,000 on a speculative biotech stock he barely understands. This is the paradox of the smart money. We are told that intelligence, education, and high income are the keys to financial freedom. Yet some of the most brilliant minds in society, doctors, lawyers, and engineers, are statistically prone to some of the most devastating financial blunders. They aren't losing money because they lack information. They are losing money because they are too smart for their own good. This is the expert blindness trap, a psychological phenomenon that turns a person's greatest professional strength into their ultimate financial weakness. When you spend decades mastering a difficult field, you develop a sense of cognitive authority. You've conquered the bar exam, survived a surgical residency, or designed complex infrastructure. Naturally, you begin to believe that your high IQ is a universal tool that can be applied to any problem. This is where the halo effect takes hold. It is a mental shortcut where our brains assume that because someone is an expert in one area, they must be naturally gifted in others. But the stock market does not care about your medical degree. It does not respect your legal expertise. In fact, the market often punishes those who believe they can outthink it. While a surgeon is rewarded for intervention and precise action, an investor is often rewarded for doing absolutely nothing. For a high achiever, doing nothing feels like failure, and that instinctual need to act is often the first step toward a disaster. The danger deepens with what psychologists call overconfidence bias. In your professional life, you are the final word. People look to you for answers. You are paid to be right. This creates a psychological armor that makes it nearly impossible to admit when you're wrong. In the world of investing, the most important trait isn't intelligence, it's humility. But how does a top-tier engineer who is used to solving every problem with logic and data accept that the market is often irrational, emotional, and completely out of their control? They can't. Instead, they look for patterns where none exist. They convince themselves they've found a secret or a glitch in the system. They treat the market like a machine they can fix, rather than a wild ecosystem they must simply survive. There's a seductive lure that specifically targets high-income professionals, the cult of complexity. If you are a lawyer who bills $500 an hour, you are conditioned to believe that value is tied to complexity. You are unlikely to believe that a simple, boring index fund can outperform a sophisticated, high-fee private equity deal or a complex hedge fund strategy. Smart people feel they need smart investments. They want the exclusive, the opaque, and the complicated because it mirrors the complexity of their own careers. They fall for the illusion of knowledge, believing that the more data they consume, the more likely they are to succeed. But in the financial markets, more information often leads to more noise, not more clarity. The simple truth is that the most successful investors are often those who are comfortable being bored, while the smartest people in the room are often the ones trying to reinvent the wheel, only to watch it fall off. This leads to a quiet, painful cycle of loss aversion mixed with professional ego. When a high-achieving professional makes a bad bet, the financial loss is only half the pain. The real damage is to their identity. To admit a mistake is to admit they aren't as smart as they thought they were. So they double down. They average down on a failing position, throwing good money after bad, desperate to prove their original thesis was correct. They treat their portfolio like a courtroom case they have to win, rather than a garden they need to tend. By the time they finally surrender, the damage is often catastrophic. They've spent years trading their most valuable asset, their time, for a high salary to let their ego burn it away in the pursuit of being right. We see this play out in social proof circles within high-income communities. If every doctor in the lounge is talking about a new real estate syndicate or a trendy tech startup, the fear of missing out becomes an intellectual contagion. They trust each other's brilliance, forgetting that none of them are actually trained in risk management. They build an echo chamber where professional prestige is mistaken for financial literacy. They forget that the skills required to earn money are fundamentally different from the skills required to grow it. Earning money requires expertise, specialization, and intensity. Growing money requires patience, diversification, and a radical acceptance of your own limitations. The most dangerous phrase a smart person can utter is, "It's different this time." They use their high intellect to build elaborate justifications for why the rules of gravity don't apply to their specific investment. They use their ability to process complex information to mask the fact that they are gambling. This is the expert blindness trap in its final form, using your intelligence to lie to yourself more convincingly than anyone else could. The more articulate you are, the better you are at rationalizing your own mistakes. So, how does one escape? It begins with a painful realization. Your professional success is a liability in the market. To win at the money game, you have to leave your ego at the door. You have to accept that in the world of finance, you are not the expert, you are the student. The goal isn't to be the smartest person in the room. It's about being the person who makes the fewest avoidable mistakes. It's about recognizing that a high IQ can help you design a rocket ship, but it can't predict where a million emotional humans will put their money tomorrow morning. The most successful smart people are those who realize that while they may be masters of their universe, they are merely small boats in the ocean of the global economy. True wealth isn't built by outsmarting the world. It's built by mastering yourself. It's about choosing simplicity over status and discipline over brilliance. If you can learn to separate your professional identity from your financial decisions, you've already won a battle most high earners will lose for decades. If you found this perspective helpful, consider subscribing to the channel for more deep dives into the psychology of wealth and human behavior. Understanding the traps is the only way to avoid falling into them.